Forever is the strangest thing. It's shorter than you think. No think.
The Holy Trinity, Bermuda, Alaskan, and Bridgewater triangles. Some say even notable deaths. The significance of 3 is undeniable. You are to bear witness to yet another event. We're invited to join your hosts, Krista, Aaron, and Brandy, as they guide you down the rabbit holes of the paranormal and unexplained, striving for answers of this world and beyond. Welcome to Blondes, Booze, and the Woo.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Glad everybody could join us. We've had a really, really rough night. So my internet is going on day 3 of doing maintenance. And a friend of mine, she was out for 4 days. So I am on my phone, and I apologize. I see all of you guys out there in the chat, and I can't comment because I'm using my phone. And I'm trying to charge my daughter's phone so I can at least talk to you all. So I apologize. I mean, I see everybody that's out there: Crystal J, Gary Spike Sr., Val, Mopar, Jean, hi, Chiro Sounds. I'm going through here. Nana Boss,
Gene Hudson, Pat Murphy. I mean, we see you all out there. If you say hello, we'll wave to you.
Yeah,
that's about what we got.
Exactly. So if you guys, like I said, put questions in caps. I don't know that I can even bring them on the screen because I've never done this on my phone. So BMR,
just double tap it with your finger.
What's that?
Just double tap it with the finger, or just hit it with your finger right on the comment, and then do the same thing.
I'll let you take charge of that tonight, Brandy.
Okay, I will do my best.
All right, there we go. And then on top of it, I've been fighting a killer headache all day, so I apologize to everybody.
You're such a trooper, you know. I mean, Jesus, we'll come out here feeling sick, coughing, but hey, we'll show you the love. We're all there.
That's right. I just hope I'm not getting sick because I've got a headache and I've taken ibuprofen all day. I tried to take a nap and I did sleep, but I still got the headache. So I just popped more ibuprofen before the show. So
I'm hoping that kicks in really soon.
Me too. Want to remind everybody, Brandy, you want to tell everybody about the show?
Just to let you know what's going on. Make sure that you tune in and like and subscribe. We have Texas Front Porch, which is on Monday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have Van Buren Variety. At 8 p.m., we have Beyond BMR. So make sure you like, subscribe, all of those. On Wednesdays at 8 p.m., we have Jason McLean, Question Everything. He runs a 2-hour show that night. Thursday at 12 p.m. Central, we have Brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob at noon, of course. I catch it, when I can at lunchtime on break. Thursday night at 8 p.m., we have Blondes and Booze. And on Friday night at 8 p.m. Central, we have Blondes, Booze, and the Woo. So make sure you like, subscribe, and share out, and come and watch us. We love talking to everybody.
Yep, absolutely. So anyway, we just it's been an interesting night. So like I said, I apologize to everybody. I do see comments, so I apologize for not being able to comment back. So if you say hi to us, we'll wave to you.
That's what I normally do, is I wave to everybody. But anyway, we have a great guest tonight. Scott Pace is coming on with us tonight, and we're going to dive deep into this mind speaking. I have no idea what it's all about. I know it's like telepathy, that sort of thing, but I can't wait to hear his story. So Krista, can you bring him up, or do you want me to?
I think I can. I'm going to try.
Okay.
Okay, we also have Daryl. You didn't tell him about Daryl.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about Daryl. Got to give him the love too. Daryl's coming on tonight to kind of help co-host and all that kind of good stuff with us. Can't forget Daryl. Jesus. Hi,
Hello,
Daryl. I didn't forget
everybody.
about you. I really
That's all
didn't.
right. You didn't. Hello, sir. No problem.
It's just kind of like, yeah, you're just one of the group, and
I understand. It happens that when you're that friendly with people and know each other well, you just beat me out.
I
That's all
just
right. I got
assume
Scott
everybody
over
knows you're there.
there. Yeah.
Right.
There's my buddy
So anyway,
Scott.
Scott.
How are you?
Hey, how y'all doing? It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank y'all so much for having me on. I really
We
do
appreciate
appreciate it.
Yeah,
It's
we're
awesome.
glad you got to be here, and not having problems like us. But
Oh
anyway,
yeah,
I would like
no,
to start out with your first encounter. Let's start with there. That way we can roll into the rest of the mind speaking thing, if you don't mind.
okay. My very first encounter happened at my grandmother's house when I was a little boy. I was probably about 9 or 10 years old, and I used to go stay with my grandmother a lot. And so, let you know where we are. My wife and I live in Louisiana, and at the time, I was staying with my grandmother. She lives in central Louisiana, which is the north part of Louisiana, and the rolling hills and stuff and pine trees up there. And we live in South Louisiana, actually between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, where we live at, and closer to Baton Rouge. And so, anyways, went to spend Thanksgiving with her, and we had worked all day long and stuff like that. And so that night we went to bed, and when we went to bed, she went to bed fairly early. I guess it was probably around 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, something like that. Sun went down pretty quick. But anyways, I began to hear something walk around outside, and whenever I heard it, I got up in the bed, and actually the old house we were sleeping in was like a board and batten house, and basically a log cabin. They just put board and battens on, so it was way back up in the woods, and they had two old beds in the back, of iron beds, and she was in one bed and I was in the other bed. But she used to keep all her windows open. She didn't run an air conditioner, just had a fan and stuff like that. So I began to hear things walk around, and I told her, I said, "Grandma," I said, "there's something outside walking around." I said, "It's heavy. It's big out there." She goes, "Oh boy, be quiet. That's just a cow out there." So I just began to sit up in the bed and just watch the window. And y'all look, the window is like a 3x3. Okay, it's an old wooden window. It's got the old metal screen. If y'all remember those back in the day, the old metal screen and stuff like that.
Right.
And all of a sudden, this huge face comes in the window, and this thing is humongous, and it just begins to look like this in the window, and it's looking around. And I screamed bloody murder. And I'm like, "Oh my God, Grandma, there's a monster. There's a monster in the window." And I jumped on her and jumped in the next bed over and was pointing at it. That was my first encounter. And I mean, it scared me to death. Now, here's the rest of the story, like they say. Not long after that, I went back to my house and kind of just left it alone. And tried to tell my mom and them about my dad about it, but they didn't really want to hear nothing about it. They just, "Oh, that's probably just a cow or something there. It's no big deal." But anyways, my mom called my grandmother up there in North Louisiana. At the time, they had like party lines and stuff. Y'all remember the party lines?
Mm-hmm.
And she couldn't get in touch with my grandma. So she finally got in touch with her. She was staying with a cousin. She said, "Mama, why are you staying over there with your cousin? Why are you not staying in your house?" She said, "Oh, I don't want to talk about it. She said, something just happened, and I just don't want to talk about it." Well, come to find out, my grandmother had seen something too. And I firmly believe it wasn't a Bigfoot or a dog man, that it was a werewolf. And so the way it looked and the way it was, just I could describe it to you, was it was a huge head, but the face was kind of mushed in on it and everything. And it was just a big old huge hairy head that stuck his face in there. Here in Louisiana, we've got all kind of stuff. We got the Rougarou, which is basically a werewolf, or a dog man. I think more of a dog man, than a werewolf. And then, of course, we've got Sasquatch and stuff here. If you want to call them Sasquatch, Situnga, forest people. I like to refer to them as the forest people. And so that was my very first encounter there. And then the next time, nothing happened. I've been in the woods, been a hunter all my life. Ever since I was old enough to own a shotgun, my dad got me a shotgun, when I was 14 years old, and hunted ever since then, all through high school and everything. Deer hunted, squirrel hunted, rabbit hunted. And then it wasn't until later on in my 20s that we have a hunting lease up there that our family owns there. That one we don't own it, somebody else owns it, but it's a lease. And it's right by our land, family land up there. But it's in the middle of Kisatchie National Forest. And I had worked for an offshore company at the time, and my cousin had called me up and he said, "Look, are you going, Scott? Are you coming up here to hunt this year?" And I said, "Well, we're pretty busy. I've been working offshore a lot and everything." And he said, "Well, look," he said, "why don't you try to if you get off around Christmas time and come on up here? We'll get you a deer." I said, "Okay." So, anyways, I was able to get off for the weekend and got up there, and sure enough, went out there. He said, "Well, look, nobody else is going to hunt today, so you just going out there and go hunt and get one of those, either getting a climber or getting a leaning tube." So I said, "Okay." So if y'all don't know what a leaning tube or a climber is basically something you latch onto a tree and you climb up. And a leaning
Right.
tube is something that leans against a tree like this, and it's like a ladder. So I found a leaning tube, and it was by a logging trail. And so I got over there and I got in that one, and sure enough, nothing happened about 9:30. So I called him up on my cell phone. And I said, "Look, nothing's going on." He said, "Well, I'm gonna go get the dogs." He said, "We can run dogs right now in the season stuff." He said, "It's time we can run them." So I'm gonna get the dogs. I'm gonna let them loose and let them chase something to you. So I said, "Okay." So I get out there and I got my 30-06 and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I hear the dogs coming at me. Well, I hear something really big, like a big buck's coming at me, but it's heavy. I hear it coming at me, and it's coming hard, boy, and it's coming through the woods. But it's to my left a little bit. So I said, "Well, let me get out of this stand right here, and I'm gonna ease onto the logging trail." So I eased my way down. I could hear the dogs coming. I could hear whatever was coming toward me, and all of a sudden it stopped. Well, then the dog stopped. So I head toward that logging trail and I go up this hill, and I'm waiting there. Whatever it was came between me and the dogs, but the funny part is the dogs started coming toward me and they stopped. They just stopped. And so they ran back toward my cousin. So I'm like, "Man, what is it? Whatever it is, it's got to be right here." So I start easing down the trail a little bit, the logging trail right there. And all of a sudden I look, and there's a hole, probably about 2.5, 3 foot round like this, going through all the briars in the thicket right there. And it's that strange. I've never seen a hole like that in the briars, And I started looking at it. And I see this, y'all. It's this thing is squatted down, and it's got human type shoulders, but it's big. It's really big. It's probably about 4 foot in the shoulders across. And it's got these big ears sticking up like this, and it has a weird snout on it. And when I looked at it, I didn't believe me. Now, before all this happened, I didn't know about Bigfoot. I just whatever Boggy Creek and stuff like that's the only thing I heard about. Before this, I didn't know anything about a dog man. Period. Never even heard of a dog man before, or a werewolf or anything like that. It wasn't until later on that I researched, I found out about all this stuff, started doing my research and stuff. But anyway, this thing just sat there. But the weird thing is his eyes, y'all, his eyes were like black. They were dark, dark, dark and black. And it's like it just peered through my soul. I remember at the time I didn't really have a good scope. And so I looked through my rifle and I looked through the scope that I had, and I could see it looking back at me. But the eyes, the whites of it were white, but the center part of it was black. And it was like jet black, and it just had an evil sense about it. I was like, "Ooh, man, this is weird." So I said, "Well, I'm just gonna get out of here, leave this thing alone, and I'm gonna go." And so my cousin said, "Well, look, did you see anything?" I said, "Nope." I said, I didn't see anything. He said, "You didn't see a deer?" I said, "No." He said, "Whatever it was stopped over." I said, "No, I didn't see no deer." So I said, "Well,
you sure didn't, did you?"
I didn't see a deer." So I let that go. So at that least in that particular area right there, there were quite a few things that were going on that would get my attention and stuff like that, And it wasn't until about 2017, the first thing that really got me, that was there beside this thing. And believe me, I didn't tell anybody about that story. I just left it alone. And in 2017, we were back up there in September, and we were clearing off some of the trails and stuff. And so we had a bush hog was going through. And I remember one of my cousins saying, "Well, look, we can get to the national forest on the side over here. There's a big clearing over here on this ridge. So make a really good spot to put a deer stand, like a box stand."
Right.
So let's do it. Let's go through it. So anyways, we started doing that. And the first thing that happened was I began to smell something. This thing smelled like urine. It smelled like something dead. I mean, it was nasty. It was cutting through all this stuff. And so I asked my cousin, I said, "Y'all," I said, "Look, what's that smell?" I said, "Something don't smell right here." And they said, "Scotty said, probably the dog or something like that." So we think one of our other cousins' dog died up here. And I said, "Well, I don't know what that is. I mean, it's nasty." They said, "Well, look, go right on around the back of the trail over here." And they said, "Go and see, make sure we cut all the, all the trails and everything, and we didn't leave anything." So I said, "All right." So I went and got on my golf cart. I have a golf cart that's all jacked up. So I went and rode around there, and something told me, y'all, this is where a lot of it started. Something told me to stop. So I just stopped. And I looked down. There's a track. And I sent y'all some of the pictures and stuff. But anyway, there's this track there. So I got off the golf cart and I started looking at it. So it's on this basically a logging trail. and there's a thicket on one side and there's a national forest on the other side. And it was just basically one track in this pine straw. So I walk over to it and I stomp up and down. I jump up and down and try to push down the pine straw the same way it is, but I couldn't do anything. So I went back around and got my cousin and brought him back over there, and he looked at it. So there's probably some people, walking through or something like that. And I said, now who in the world's gonna be walking through our hunting lease in the national forest barefoot? I said, it's only one track, But this thing was huge. And the weird thing was you could see the definition of the toes in the front and everything. So that was 2017. So nothing happened between then. Nothing really caught my attention or anything like that. And this is where it all started, y'all. So 2019, the hunt season comes back around again. And I went muzzleloading hunting the second to last weekend in October. Mm-hmm. And I'm in this one box stand, and they had a deer come out. So I'm sitting there waiting on it. I had loaded up my rifle and everything. It was a muzzle loader. And I remember this deer come out, and I shot the deer, y'all. And when I shot this deer, it collapsed. It fell, where it died. So I went over there and reloaded my muzzle loader and got out of this box stand and started walking toward it. Now, this is what's crazy. This deer uprights like this, okay, and takes off. And I'm sitting there in shock, and I'm looking at this thing going, what in the world? Now the weird thing was the head was hanging down like this, and the legs weren't moving. They were just hanging like that, and it took off. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, what in the world just happened? So my cousin calls me up on my cell phone. He said, did you shoot the deer? I said, yeah, I shot the deer. He said, where's the deer at? I said, I don't know. It ran off. He said, you shoot? I said, I made a good shot on it. I said, I shot it. And there's blood over the ground here. And I'm like going, my God, man. I said, I don't know what happened. So anyways, we went and got the dog in and tried to trail the deer and everything. And we couldn't find the deer, y'all. So like it just disappeared. So the next weekend comes around, it's rifle season. So I went that first, it had to be, I guess it was that Saturday, whatever. We went that morning, nothing happened. And that evening we went. And so that evening, I was sitting in the same box stand right there. And it was about 6 o'clock, or right before 6 o'clock in the evening. I was messing with my cell phone a little bit. All of a sudden, I get this really, really high-pitched noise in my left ear. All of a sudden to the point that your head's going, like sideways like this, And I actually had my 30-06 in the corner, and it was leaning up in the corner right there. And all of a sudden, my 30-06 begins to vibrate and move down. So I grab it, and as soon as I do that, I see something move out of my left peripheral vision right there, and I turn around and I look. And when I look, there's this black thing, and it looks like a stump. So I'm like, God, dog. And I look over there and I said, we don't ever burn off our lease over here. And I said, what is that thing? So I grabbed my binoculars and I look, and that's when I seen the face. Y'all, the face was black as coal. I mean, it was black as tar. And the skin of it was very, very, very oily. And around here was hair. And it didn't have a cone head or anything. It looked more human than anything. And it had the nostrils were really big on it. And it was just sitting there looking at me. Well, I picked up my rifle. And I'm sorry. Right after I did that, I took my phone and I picked it up and I took a picture. Okay. So when I took the picture, I picked my rifle up and I looked at it to get a better view of it. And this is where it gets crazy. When I looked at it, its eyes were actually yellow and orange, a beautiful starburst color. Okay. But then I seen to its left, something moves. Okay. So I turned my rifle and all of a sudden I look over there and there's this thing with only way I can describe it is a wolf's head. It's gray. It's got a black snout coming down, and the shoulders, I didn't see below the shoulders and everything, but I seen the upper torso and the arms and everything. It looked just like a huge basketball player. The definition of the muscles and everything that was on it was just huge. And all this was gray, kind of like this shirt right here was gray like that. And it just looked at me. And all of a sudden, this is where the mind speak starts. It looked at me and it said, put the gun down or I'm going to come over there and tear that building up and kill you. I'm like, what the heck? And all of a sudden next to it, there's this Bigfoot. Well, the Bigfoot turns and looks at it and says, don't fool with him. Leave him alone. Don't mess with him. He said, he's not going to hurt you. Don't have his finger on the trigger. And the whole time I'm looking at him and my finger's like this. This is your trigger finger. My finger's like this. So look, my finger's not on the trigger. All of a sudden they begin to get after each other. Okay. This is where all the mind speak started. I truly believe in my heart that when I looked into that Bigfoot's eyes, that something transferred to me. And that's the best way I can describe it. Well, this went on a little bit with them bickering back and forth, and the whole time I am shocked. I'm just like, my God, what in the world's going on here? To see something like that, to see a Bigfoot by itself, and it was pretty tall too. To give you some more definition of it, it was about squatted. It was squatted down, kind of like when you take and you just squat straight down, and it was squatting, and his knees were out in front of it, and his feet were up under it. It was about 6 foot tall there. Now the dog man next to it was probably about a foot taller than it, so it was about 7 foot tall. But I remember this other voice came up right after that, and it was a different audible voice, octave kind of like, and it said, "Leave now." And it's more of authoritative. It was like, "Leave now." And I'm like, "Oh, Jesus Christ." So I open up the back door of this thing, and I just sling it open. I grab my little backpack, and I start boogieing on out. And I start walking real fast. And I'm going toward my golf cart. The sun's starting to come down now. So that was about 6 o'clock, and it's getting towards 6:15, 6:30. About 6:30, it gets dark. It's dark out there. So all of a sudden I hear them, and they're on the side of me, and they're trailing me. They're right on the side of me. Now, what's weird is on the left-hand side, they were there, but on the right-hand side, I didn't hear or see anything. I was looking both ways the whole time, and I had my gun right here, and I'm going out. And I started listening. It sounded like 2. Then all of a sudden, it sounded like 4. Well, I could see the trees moving and the bushes moving there, but I couldn't see anything at all. I couldn't make anything out, and it's starting to get dark. And all I could see, basically what I saw was dark shadows is what I could see going through there. And I finally got to my golf cart. And the crazy thing is my golf cart was, when I parked it, it was parking toward the woods. So my cousin had come around the corner, and he was on his big four-wheeler, and he hauled tail past me, and he just did like this. "Come on, let's go." So anyways, I looked out there, and I told him, I just looked at him and told him this. I said, "Look," I said, "y'all may come and get me, but I said, I can promise you this." I said, "I've got plenty of rounds on me." And I said, "If y'all come out the woods right now, I'm going to start blasting." And I said, "You may kill me today, but I'm going to get one of y'all." And I said, I will definitely blow your head off if you come out." But anyways, got back to my cousin's house, and I made it some crazy excuse like I had to leave or something like that. But I remember coming home and telling my wife, I said, "Look," I said, first of all, she was in shock. I was even home. She goes, "Did you get a deer?" I said, "No, I didn't get a deer." And she's like, that was one of the first questions. She just said, "Did you get a deer?" I said, "No, I didn't get no deer." She said, "What happened?" I said, "Something happened in the woods." She goes, "Did you get an argument with somebody?" I said, No. I said, "Nothing like that." I said, "I saw something." She said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I saw something in the woods." I said, "It's got me shaking up really bad." I said, "In fact, I saw a couple things, So I began to show her the picture and everything. And to be honest with y'all, at first I thought I was gonna have to go get some type of, counseling, stuff like that, because this is, if you think about it,
That's sorry.
that's okay. If you think about it, you don't ever get this mind speak, this telepathy going on. But what's really, really weird is like now, even now, I still can
Hey,
hear them.
Scott.
Yes.
Scott, I don't mean to interrupt you. There's something going on with your mic, and it's crackling real bad. Is it rubbing on your shirt or something like that, or is it your connection?
Let me make sure it's not my connection. I'm sorry.
No, you're
No,
good.
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, how about that? Is that better?
Okay, keep talking just a little bit.
Okay, how's that?
I don't hear crackling.
That's a lot better. That's a lot better. It was just crackling real bad, and I was losing some of your words.
Okay, I apologize. But anyways, after
Nope,
that,
there it goes again.
oh Lord. Okay, I'm sorry.
There it goes again.
Okay, how about now? Is that better?
No, I think it's still crackling. I think it's just your connection. Is there a way to unplug yourself and just use your speaker?
Sure, I can. It's gonna be hard for me to hear y'all. But
I'm sorry.
that's okay. Is that better?
Oh, yes, 100%. Thank you so much. I was just losing some of your words in the crackling, and I'm trying to hang on every one, and then I couldn't. So thank you.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
apologize.
Okay, now go on.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So
You're good.
anyways, after that, I really went into full, like, I had to go talk to somebody. So I started reaching out to people, and I started looking up everything Bigfoot, everything about Bigfoot that I could find. I started reaching out to certain people. And sometimes I got some backlash and stuff like that. And people, I didn't know what levels there were of Bigfoot, I mean, if you think about it, there's different levels of Bigfoot. Some people think it's just an ape. Some people think that they're just flesh and blood. And very, very few people use telepathy or mind speak, and others don't believe in the woo and all that stuff, okay? And so I had to learn that the hard way. So I knew that there were very few people in the beginning I could talk to about this stuff. And so I reached out to a few people and actually talked to them. And so it made things a lot better. But then I started buying books. Any book that I could find on Bigfoot, I started doing that. And in the meantime, so that was in October. And in March, they came through and they started clear cutting our lease. And so this is the part where they follow you home. And so one morning I got up and I was drinking some coffee and stuff. And it was a Saturday morning. I had a rough week and everything.
Oh, thank you.
And so I was just sitting in my recliner and I began to drink my coffee. And all of a sudden this voice.
Are you going on through Facebook?
And so this voice comes to me and it, can you hear me?
No, it's her. I told her to she shut off her mic.
Sorry. Well, the thing is, okay, so I can't comment, and I see all these great comments out there, and it's driving me nuts. So I've got my kid's phone here, and I forgot I had blocked YouTube on her phone. So we're trying to fix that, and she's got me on the Facebook one now. So anyway, I apologize. Sorry about that.
Hey, it's the gremlins. It's the gremlins.
Yeah, I'll touch on that in a second.
Thank you.
You'll love that part. So anyways, this voice comes to me, and it's like it's in another, it's not showing itself to me, but this voice comes to me, and it comes in my living room, and it says, why did you tear up my house? Why did you tear up my land? And I said, do what? And he said, yeah. I said, that was our land. That's where we lived at. Y'all came through and you cut all the trees and tore up all the land and everything. I said, that is where we live at. And I said, look, I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry. I said, first of all, it's not our land. And I said, second of all, I said, we don't even own that. And that's why you only see me there probably 4 or 5, maybe even 6 times a year. So I talk to it just like I'm talking to y'all. And I said, I'm very, very sorry. But I said, I had no control over that. I really didn't. And I said, we actually leased the land. We have to pay money. And that's what happened. And I said, I'm very sorry. And it's almost like I felt like it did this, like a spirit of depression, and turned off and walked away. And so that began a lot of what we call mind speaking everything to me. Now, there's quite a few things, if you listen to my story and what's going on, is number one, they never tried to hurt me. They see me point a gun at them, and I wasn't trying to hurt them or anything, but they gave me a chance to get out. She gave me a chance to get away. And so there was more than one of them back there in there. And I had, if you ever look at the pictures that I sent y'all, there was actually 3 dog men in that picture and 2 Bigfoot. So that goes to show you that they all run together and they're all by each other and everything, okay? The next part is they are a family unit, okay? They're in a clan, they're in a family unit, and that is where they live at in the woods. So that one straight up told me, straight up told me that is where they live at. And that is that's their land. And so whoever the logging company is and the people who own the land, they decided to clear up all the wood and everything and cut it all down, And so that's what happened.
Well, I've been kind of wondering about that. I mean, if that's why there's more sightings and things like that, is because we are basically tearing up the land and removing, their home. We're tearing down their homes. So I was just wondering if that was, what was going on. And that seems to be true.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Man,
real quick, Scott, you have a question.
Sure.
Amelia Gottfried asked, do you believe that everyone can hear mind speak?
I don't know about that. I know that something transferred to me is the only way I can explain it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And only way I can tell you this is that there are certain gifts that people have. I believe that all of us have a spiritual gift, and we can all use those gifts, and not all gifts are the same. I know people that get visions, okay, and they say they see Bigfoot and they get visions, and they see them in certain areas, and they'll go research that area. I had somebody recently tell me that. I just believe that this is my gift that I have, and that God gave me or whatever, and that's what I have is I can use telepathy and talk to them. And actually, I can tell you how it happens, because when I get a high pitched noise now, any high pitched noise, and I'll start talking to them. Say, hey, is that y'all? Are you here? And then I get like a little tingling thing, and that's how it started for me, and that's how it always is. And I can tell you, it can be anywhere. I mean, absolutely anywhere, and that happens.
You have another question real quick.
Yes,
Sin Forest People Unveiled Live asks, have you gotten any messages for all of man, like overall message about us and them, like an overall message about us and them?
Well, okay, I can tell you all this. Right after this happened, I told Daryl this also. Well,
Yeah.
was I start questioning him about things, and this is what I get, and this is the kind of interaction I get with him. And I said, because I'm a religious person, okay, I'm a born again Christian and stuff, and so this is the questions that I ask him, because a lot of people say that they're demons. And so right after I had my sighting, I've had two people come to my house that were big known researchers and stuff like that, and I actually cooked jambalaya and stuff for them, and one guy cooked gumbo for him and everything, and I just had to find out about all this stuff. So I invite people to come over and eat, and we would discuss all this stuff, you know. One guy wanted me to confess that they were demons, and I said, nah, I can't buy that. I said, I just don't buy that. I really don't. I said, they've never tried to hurt me. They don't try anything demonic, what I would call demonic or non-godly. So this is what happened. I asked them, I said, do y'all believe in God? They said, yes. I said, well, do you believe in Jesus? They said, of course, yes. I said, do y'all know God and Jesus? They said, yes. I said, okay. I said, well, how can I was going to try to get them, okay? I was going to try to trick them. I said, how can I be closer to God and to Jesus? And they said, be more reverent. Now, what does what does the word reverent mean to y'all?
More obedient.
Yeah, just
Okay.
more open, just, yeah.
Well, it actually means to be more holy.
Mm-hmm.
Be more godlike. That means that to have a better, so here's a throw out at y'all. It means to check yourself, check your character, and check your integrity. That is to have a relationship. You want to have a relationship with God and with Jesus, then you're gonna have to check your character and your integrity and start living a godly life. So I thought that was pretty cool, you know. So that was just one of the things that we've had conversations with. As far as the whole humanity and stuff like that, I personally don't ask them questions like that. I just ask them things about my relationship with them, you know. And so that's what I ask about. And so far they've been pretty cordial. You know, I can ask them all kinds of stuff. And
No, I would be kind of afraid to ask him more questions like that, only because I may not be ready or do not want to hear their
Yeah.
answer. You know,
Right.
it could be
So-
something that I can't comprehend, and then I was like, no, I just don't.
So that was the next. I was going to go right into that. Thank you for saying that, because you brought up the memory about it. And so I start saying, so look, this is like information overload. It's way more than I can handle. And I said, my mind's going crazy with all this. And they said, okay. They said, do you know how a computer works? And I said, well, I know if I go to this cell phone right here and I press a button, it's going to come on and stuff like that. They said, yeah, but do you know how it works inside? I said, no, I don't know how it works. And they said, well, look, they said, there's some things that you're not going to always get, but you do accept it, right? And I said, well, yeah, I know. I plug my phone in and I put it in the battery and it's going to work. Well,
Hey, Scott, I think we're losing you.
it's not what you believe, it's what you believe.
I think we're
Okay,
losing
can you
you.
hear me?
I can hear you better now.
Yeah, it's going in and out just a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, so they said it's not what you believe, it's what you're willing to accept.
Yeah, I believe that. 100% believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So it's
Well,
not what you
we
believe,
had,
you know, sometimes. So it's like this. It's like, okay, I see a Bigfoot. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. So you block it out of your mind. Now, when you start accepting these things, that you see these things, that they're for real. I mean, take me. None of this fits into church. It don't fit into Sunday service. It don't fit into Sunday night service. It don't fit into Wednesday night service. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing like that. And when you go back and read in the Old Testament, you'll see some of these things, and a little bit, and in Revelations and stuff in the New Testament. So for all this stuff to happen to me, it was crazy. You know, and it was really hard for me to accept all these things. But it's like they were taking on a journey, and they started out with just a sighting so they could get me there, and a few things, taking my deer and stuff like that. So getting back to that deer, what they actually did was they cloaked. When at the beginning of the hunting season, it was a muzzleload season, they actually took that deer and they were cloaking. And what they did is they went and grabbed my deer and took off with it.
Wow.
When it came through. And I was talking about the deer with the head down and the legs hanging down like this.
right.
Now, the cool thing about this is I told before Kerry Arnold had passed away, I got on his show, and he's one of the first people, actually the first interview I've ever done as far as being online like this and everything. I'd done a podcast before him, but that was the first time. And when I sit and talk to him about this, he and I talked a lot. And I told him, I said, man, have you ever had anything weird like that? He said, Scott, he said, look, I shot deer, nice deer, 8 points, 10 points, went to go get them. They weren't nowhere around.
Wow.
I know it. He told me the same
Yeah, I
thing.
know.
God, oh,
I know
yep,
numerous people that's had that happen, Scott. You and I've talked about
yep,
that.
yep.
Shoot a deer,
And
then you go get it, and it's gone. You can't figure out where it went. But
Mhm.
it
I mean,
happens a lot.
most deer you're gonna. That's right. I mean, most deer you're gonna harvest is gonna be as close as 25 yards, but it's say 25 to 100 yards. Okay. And sometimes we hunt in the woods, it's thick and stuff like that, and you'll go down toward it because you have a good shot on it. You see it go down, or you hear where it goes down. You go look for it in that general area, you know. And so, yes, they do take your wildlife and stuff like that. If it's an easy thing for them, they don't have to chase it. They'll go over there and cloak and go get it, pick it up, take off with it, you know,
Mhm. Wow.
which is
That's
pretty crazy, huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
that is. Now, do you think that that may lean towards more of the paranormal side um, of them maybe cloaking or it's hard to explain. I mean, with the experience of the mind speaking, it makes me lean towards the metaphysical side of, like mediumship, perhaps,
Yeah.
Yeah.
being able to speak with something that you wouldn't normally be able to communicate with. Do you think that your encounters have opened
Right.
you up to that activity?
Well, I was closed up to everything before all this happened, and little by little, they showed me more and more and more, and even to the point where having conversations with me, you know. So, like I said before, there are people who think they're apes. That's one group. You can move to the
Mhm.
next group, they think all flesh and blood. Then you go over to the next group, and this is what I've learned over my journey since 2019. And I've been in all kind of podcasts, I've been in all kind of groups, been on Discord with different on stuff like that. And you're going to get a lot of different opinions, but it's when it happens to you and you know it, and they're talking to you, that you can explain things and try to, I can't convince everybody, and I'm not trying to do that. I'm just telling you what's out there, what the possibilities are. You know, some people say, "Well, I want to see a Bigfoot. I've never seen one." Well, don't go asking for that because you don't know what you're getting yourself into. Number one,
Mhm.
because it's one thing is that they're unpredictable. Okay, who's to say if they're all good? Like my relationship with them has been really good. It's been very
Yeah.
good. Haven't had any bad things happen. Haven't been threatened. Haven't been. They tried to do anything like that. And so the next thing is that once you do get in mind speak and stuff, well, they're going to communicate with you. They'll tell you things, and a lot of it, like Daryl talked about, was they started dropping their kids off here. And this is going to be hard for some people to accept. But what they did was they started dropping their kids off here. You say, well, how's that possible? Well, what they do is when they're really young, they can still cloak, but they don't cloak as good, and they don't go invisible as good. Okay, so you can see them; they're little black flashes that go by, and then they start learning how to cloak, and then they're little white flashes that go by. And so that's how we had two families come through, two kids come through. And just recently, I asked them, I said, "Why in the world are you dropping your kids off here?" And this is their reply. You're gonna laugh at this one. They said, "Well, don't you drop your kids off at school?" I said, "Well, yeah, I used to, when they were kids." And they said, "Well, that's what we do. We drop the young off with you there, and they have the ability to cloak and stuff like that and go invisible. And believe me, they get mischievous too, get very mischievous. And me and my wife have been through all kinds of stuff like that. But anyway, was they told me they thought it was funny that I would even ask that question. They said, "You drop your kids off at school, don't you?" That's what they'll drop the young ones off to you to actually educate them. They know how humans live. They know how humans operate. They know their mentalities and stuff like that. And then, they go off on their own until what they call an adolescence, Then they go off with them and they live in family units, But I think that's
Mhm.
pretty neat how they do.
Yeah. Scott, is your earbuds turned off? I know you don't have them on, but do you have them turned off? Because
Yeah, I think he's having some issues there.
because people are commenting, and I've heard that too. And at first, I didn't know if it was my phone or what.
Well, it's Woo Night. What do you expect? It's Woo Night.
That's true.
Well, I can tell you all this. You're going to have some activity while we're talking about this because we're talking about them. So they're going to come in and start acting crazy. So they do that. I'm used to it.
Now,
This is not the first time.
my question is when you're mind speaking with them, does it sound like somebody is actually talking to you as if somebody's in front of you, or do you kind of like hear it like a voice in your head? Now, that's what I missed.
Yeah. It's a voice in your head. I don't hear a voice.
Okay.
I don't hear a voice like you said the voice of God. You said the voice of God is talking to me. No, it's not like that at all. It's a voice in my head. It's kind of like all I can explain to you is I'm a Christian, so I mean, have any of you ever prayed and you actually heard an answer back? You understand what I'm saying? If you're a praying person and you actually get an answer
Yeah.
back, if you can understand what
Had
even a little thing.
Yeah, I had it
I'll
many
give you an
times.
example. Okay, so you understand what I'm saying. So I'll give you an example of this, okay? I had prayed sincerely to God, and at the time I was single, and I said, Lord, your will for me to be.
Okay, we're kind of losing. Scott, we're
Yep.
losing you again. Are you there?
Oh no, I don't know. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I think you froze up because now we can't hear you. Well, anyway, my thing is because in the paranormal world, you can hear disembodied voices. I mean, you can hear them plain as day as if they were standing right next to you. But also in the metaphysical world and mediumship, you can also hear them in your head.
Hmm.
It's like,
Yep.
we listened to Erin, and Erin says, when she said, I seen it with my eyes, that meant she's seen it with her eyes and not a mental picture in her head. And
Right.
and that's what I'm trying to roll with. And I see Scott shaking his head. Yes.
I've been around quite a few Bigfoot in my time, and I've had only one time that I can recall that I thought they were trying to speak to me through my mind, and only that one time. And quite frankly, I didn't know how to manage it, how to stop it or make it happen. But I tried to concentrate not to allow them, because at that time I was afraid they were going to get me to do something that would make me vulnerable. So that's the only time that and Scott and I've had many conversations about this, but maybe we can get him back on. Let's see if he can get back
Scott,
in.
Yeah.
can you hear us, Scott?
Can you hear us? We're not showing you're muted.
We can't hear you. Can you?
Yeah.
If you can hear me, log out, get out of here. We'll let you back in. Let's try to reset it, maybe.
It just does this when he's on the phone with me too. So he has some kind of. He may be right. He thinks they interfere with talking about him.
Well, that's what. There's some comments about that as well.
Yeah, I do believe that that's possible.
Yeah, because there's people asking questions to him, and we can't hear his answers.
Well, Daryl, we have a question for you here. Jean said, Daryl, you block them, so you won't hear from them unless you change your mind. So have you been out in the field and tried to change your whole mindset on that and say, okay, I'm ready to be open and I'm ready to speak? Have you done that yet?
No, my problem was when I was first tried to be I'm not sure that I was trying to be mind speak with, but something was trying to answer me or ask me something in my mind. I could feel it, and at that time this was the second occurrence after my first experience, and I was so frightened to allow them to have any type of reception to me. I was still fearful of the fact that they might harm me. So, and I haven't had that happen again since then. So I don't know how you actually do it. I don't have that ability to do that. But I did feel that something was trying to speak to me. And I'd told Krista this one time before.
Mm-hmm.
But I was, at that time, I was at the point where, okay, well, if I let these take my mind and control it, they may be able to harm me, because I was not comfortable with them like I became later on. So that was the biggest reason. And I've not had it since. So I think some people it's just like people that go out in the woods all their life and never see a forest person, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it. They'll be out there 40 years hunting and never see one. And me, I go out there and just about 50% of the time, I either feel them. I have something in me that feels they're there, and I have seen many of them, and maybe the same one numerous times. And other people never see them. It makes no sense actually how it works that way, but it's something about the way we're made. Maybe a vibration in our body. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
and
Scott,
I
Right.
think.
can you hear us yet?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Scott? He can't hear. He can hear us, but he can't talk.
Okay, Scott, I need you to like totally get out of this, X out, and then come back in. And let's try it that way. There we go.
There,
And
there we
then
go. We
when he
gotcha.
comes back in, we'll try to let him in and see how. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's the
that's
night, as
that's
Brady
awesome.
said. Things like that happen on Friday nights.
It's it's woo woo. It always
Yeah,
happens, you know.
It's the LBL hangover.
I'll
Yeah,
say.
there it is. It's just going with us. We just don't know. Um, you, because I guess I don't know where it plays in with the mind speaking for me, because I know nothing about it, and I'm not even
I
going to
don't
say
either.
I do.
I don't really
I
know
am not a
anything.
psychic medium. I
That's
know
just
nothing about mental telepathy. So, I mean, I am really intrigued about the fact of being able to communicate with someone or something without using your vocals, your words.
Yeah.
Um,
well,
I,
Scott's
I
been
am,
Scott has spoke at many conferences as the head speaker because of his ability, and some of the things he's told me over the years are really incredible. I don't think the show's long enough for him to even get all those in. Some of the things that's happened to him,
Mhm.
and it's
Yeah,
just
I hope he can get back in because he has a lot of questions. I've been starring the questions to go back and ask him. So,
he has a real gift that he's been
mhm.
given to be able to do this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it. I've never even seen one actually cloak. I've seen one walk behind a tree one time and it never came out and there was nowhere for it to go. So I do believe they can do that. I think they have an ability to do that. I think
He's
that,
back. Let me let him back in.
okay, good.
did you
Can
make
you
There
hear
you
me?
it?
go. Scott, can
Can
you
you,
hear us?
yeah, I hear y'all. Can you hear me?
All right, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
Great.
yay, yes.
Good to have
Okay.
you back, brother. Good to have you back.
I'm sorry about all that, y'all.
That's all
No,
So
right.
I
it's
was going to tell
not
you.
your fault. I do believe, like Tom here says, that's what happens when we talk about the subject, and he is 110% correct.
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah,
listening to y'all talk before, and I want to tell you a story. What happened to me? So last hunting season, I've been telling one of my best friends about stuff that was going on up there in our hunting lease and all that. And he said, "Well, I want to go hunting with you. So I ain't worried about all that stuff." So I said, "Okay." So we went that morning, and nothing happened or anything. And so on the way, we were going to go eat lunch. We'd hunted that morning, so we were going back to the golf cart, and I remember mind speak to him. Okay, and I just started talking to him. I said, "Look, if y'all are here, would you please give us a sign?" And I said, "What I want you to if y'all could just do something, to let us know that you're here." And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I hear this real loud roar. It just goes, now it's like a high. I mean, it's real high pitched noise. After that, it's like a performance mode. It goes, bow, like that. It's just like it broke the sound barrier. And so they let me know. And my buddy looked over and he goes, "What in the world was that?" I said, "That's them." He said, "They're letting you know that they're out there and that they're real."
Mhm.
He goes, "Oh my Lord, it's time to get out of here." I said, "They're not going to hurt you." I said, "If they wanted to hurt you, they'd be coming through the woods right there, and they move fast. They're like greased lightning,
Wow.
But real low. I mean, like a lion, like that, whack, and it hit. And it was like the whole. Now we have 40 acres out here that's been cleared. All right, so it's clear cut now, rolling hills and all that. And this noise came across and just hit us like that.
Right.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
All I did was I just started mind speaking and said, "Look, would y'all please give us a sign?" I said, "My friend, he's a skeptic. He's a non-believer." And he was like, "Man," he said, "Look," he said, "I'm a believer now." I said, "Yep."
Right, right.
Wow.
I don't know. I think I'd have freaked out right there when I heard that roar. I would have just started running. Hearing something like that, I'd been, nope, not for me. But I'm super chicken. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Right.
Scott, if you would, Scott, tell them about what happened to you while you were laying in bed.
Oh Lord, that's kind of, yeah, okay.
Well, real quick though, just to let y'all know, I have like 2 minutes before we have to go to break. So when we come back from break, can you save that story and we'll do it when we come back from the 5-minute break?
Sure, no problem.
Is that okay?
Yeah, and plus, I wanted to mention we do have a couple people in our chat that do mind speak also.
Oh.
And so I want them to ask a couple questions so we can throw them up and
Yeah,
see
you can
what
ask us.
comes from that. And
So
then
I
I want
do-
to dive into some UFO. I
I
want to
do
dive
have
into some
questions
UFO.
that I have starred that we can go back to also at the end of the
Okay.
show and let everybody know. Scott can answer them questions for others too.
Right.
I'll ask many questions y'all want.
Awesome. We appreciate you coming
There's
on
been
and
a lot
doing
out
this for
there.
us.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it so far. I'm sorry about the other stuff. That's what they do sometimes. Y'all not the only one this has happened to, though. Okay, I've had some really, really great interviews going, and all of a sudden they just start messing with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand.
I'll tell you about
And-
that. If y'all want to come back from the break, I'll tell you what happened with that too. They actually messed up my phone, the the camera in it. And they had, when I sent Daryl the picture, it ran across in front of my phone. And this is what you saw. You saw a shimmering thing that goes across like this, and I actually got 2 pictures of that.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
So they zapped. Have you ever heard of being zapped?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so they didn't zap me, but they zapped my phone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then they laughed at me.
Yeah.
They thought it was
Yeah.
funny. Y'all got to stop this. Y'all costing me money.
Yeah. Well, just
Real quick.
give us about 5 minutes and we can talk all about it. Because, I
we
can tell you.
do.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all having me
Yep.
on.
We do have
Okay.
to go to break. So I want everybody to give BMR a holler, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. It is his birthday today, our partner
Happy
in crime. So
birthday.
we want to tell BMR happy birthday. And tune in, guys. Stay 5 minutes, hang out with us, and we'll be right back.
5 minutes.
Four minutes to go, folks. 4 minutes. Three minutes. We're almost there. 2-minute warning, guys. 2-minute warning. One minute. 1 minute.
Hey, everybody, we're back, but it looks like we lost Daryl.
No, I'm telling you what, the people in chat are cracking me up though.
Yeah,
they're,
I don't know.
they're all off there. They're talking about hitting the like button and going to our other platforms and hitting the like button and are you happy now? And they're bantering back and forth about it. But I also
Right.
saw Lori had said something about something unsubscribed her to Blondes and Booze. I'm like,
Yeah.
what happened?
Well, you
I
know what?
didn't
I
unsubscribe you.
something about that because there are a lot of channels that I subscribe to as well, and I don't get notifications for them anymore. And it's about to take me off. Yeah, because there's a lot of shows that I watch faithfully, and I don't get the notifications, for it. Real quick before we move on, I want to let everybody know that March 4th. I don't have my flyer. I can't put it up because I'm on my phone. But March 4th, we will be in Ann Arbor, Michigan at Pot of Grass for Pooches. It's a fundraiser for local animal shelters. Yeah.
Okay.
And
I don't know how to get back on.
you're on, Daryl.
Hi,
Oh,
Daryl.
I'm back on.
Hi, Daryl.
You're on, Daryl.
All right. There we go. I had to wait till Scott come back. That's what happened.
We were watching it.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to let everybody know, like, if you guys are in and around Michigan, any of that area, it's for a good cause. Blondes will be there. Letitia Nunnally is going to come up and go with us. We've even talked to BMR to coming over there. So Bigfoot Michigan Rob will be there. Definitely come over and see us. And like I said, the Godfather of Paranormal is going to be there, John Zaffis. So I'm really excited about that one. And then coming up in July, I believe I don't want to say the date because I don't want to say it wrong, but
July 8th.
July 8th. We are doing a overnight at Malvern Manor, and Josh Hurd, he's awesome, one of Nick Groff's G Crew guys, along with Johnny Hauser and Chad Lindbergh, all cool guys. Josh is going to stay and ghost hunt with attendees, and then we've even talked Tex into coming up for that one. So Tex will be there, and then our friend Terry Mosby, who does the CE5, the alien UFO type stuff, she's going to come over there too with us. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We got some really good stuff coming up.
And we'll let y'all know when the tickets go on sale for the July 8th event at Malvern Manor. They're not on sale yet.
Yes, but they will be. And so there's some cool stuff going on. And I know We'll be also at Gatlinburg in, I think it's July, at the Bigfoot Festival
Conference. Yeah.
Conference. Yep,
Yep.
we'll be in Gatlinburg, and then we're doing the one in Arkansas, and then we will actually be back at Scarefest. That we have been asked to come back and speak again, so we'll be over there in October. So that'll be fun.
So yeah, it is. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of traveling. Going to be really
Yeah.
tired, but
Yeah.
you know, we have fun doing it. So we'll keep going.
And we lost Daryl again.
Bye, Daryl. Like,
When he
bye.
comes back, we'll let him in.
I'm telling you that this is just making me laugh. I'm just having one of those nights. I'm just super giggly. I don't know what's happening.
It's kind of
But
like
anyway,
kind of like the night when we left the LBL, Brandy.
I know. Yeah, it is like that. It's you know, we were out there having all kinds of experiences at the LBL, and then we just got all giggly and giddy, like you're tired. You like it's like you all your energy's gone, just gone.
We
And then you know that
we left the LBL. We were both so slap happy. We went on TikTok live for the first time, and I don't recommend it.
no, I do not recommend it either. But
Yeah.
anyway, so let's get back to Scott. Yeah, let's
Hey.
get back there. Okay, now the story about your phone being zapped.
Okay. So there again, I was at our land. So my wife and I have land in North Louisiana, and it's family land that's up there. And what we decided to do was go ahead and start developing it. And it was actually like some rolling hills that were up there. And so what we did was we actually leveled a part of it out, had some dirt hauled in and everything. And then we started putting the water down, electricity and stuff. And so I was just taking, basically photos of our progress is what was going on. I was taking videos and stuff like that. And so sure enough, I'm taking a video, and all of a sudden this flash goes in front of my phone. I'm like, what the heck was that? And all of a sudden I started messing with my phone. My phone quit working toward the front. So it zapped my phone. But as long as I was looking back at me, it was working fine. But if I went toward the front, it wouldn't work. Toward the front is what I'm saying. Getting tongue-tied again. Here we go. So anyways, I've got a lot of, I've sent y'all some pictures and stuff like that. And Tricia, if you could take a look at some of your pictures that I sent you, if you could take your daughter's whatever and look at those pictures I sent you, and we can talk about some of those pictures I sent you. And
yeah, absolutely. And what I will do too, if you're okay with it, Scott, I will post them on the Blondes and Booze page, and I'll tag you in them if you want to go that route, because I apologize, everybody. Like I said, I'm on my phone and I am limited on what I can do through StreamYard. So I apologize to you, Scott, also.
Yeah, this is funny, but this is not the first time this has happened. Okay. I've actually had people try to do stuff like that and put the pictures up. Couldn't do it. It's just crazy. It's nuts. But yeah, I had a lot of our land up there in North Louisiana. And one of those stories I want to tell you was right after, we had acquired the land in 2019. It was really the same year that I had my sighting. And what happened was I actually went hunting that evening, and it was during the same time after I had my sighting. So it had to be around November, December. And I was on the land, and they just went ahead and brought a bunch of clay and stuff in, red clay, and they leveled it all for me and all that. And so I actually got some seed. And so I got 2 bags of seed, and I was actually, doing the seed and everything and putting it all out. All of a sudden, I hear this thing running across the woods. I'm like, golly, it's coming across the national forest, coming toward my way. And I look, and it looks like a big old deer. I said, God, oh, that's a big old deer. And it starts coming down, and it came across like this, and it cut back, and it hit my land at the bottom. I have a creek down at the bottom. It came up the creek and came up right in the wood line. And all of a sudden, it got down on all fours like this, and it was hunched down like a spider, almost like ready to pounce like that, and it was black. It was a dog man. Now, the dog man I'd seen before was gray with a black stripe right here, but this one right here was actually all black, solid black.
Wow.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But I wasn't mad. I just looked at it and looked at me, and I'm like, oh, well, it's getting dark. So I just put the cedar down and everything. Just went to walk behind cedars, and I just started walking toward the house. Now, here's another thing. If it wanted to kill me, it wanted to hurt me, it would have come and got me as soon as I turned my back on it. But I showed it something right. I'm not afraid of you, and I don't care about you. You don't get to me. But it was just looking at me like this, just sitting like that. And I said, well, if it wanted to get me, it was going to get me. It never did try to hurt me or anything like that.
Wow.
So
You know, when I had my encounter, I never saw one with my eyes. And everybody knows, like, I do ghost stuff, and ghosts don't scare me. But it was 2 o'clock in the morning. I'd taken my dog outside, and I was sitting out there smoking a cigarette. And I seriously got this overwhelming feeling of being watched. It creeped the shit out of me. And I don't get scared, with
Right.
ghosts. And so my friend Kathy, she was asleep on the couch in the camper, and I woke her up and I was like, hey, you need to come out here. There's something not right. And even my dog, he's a super big, lovable dog. I had never heard him growl. And Brandy can attest about my dog.
Yeah.
Loves everybody. First time he ever growled. And he was growling off into the tree line.
Yep.
So we kind of backed into the camper, and then we had 6 months later. Kathy and I never put nothing on Facebook about it, nothing. Our friend Jessica Potter, who's a psychic medium, she just brought it up and asked us out of the blue, what happened over there? And I'm like, what do you mean what happened over in that area? And she said there was a different camper there at the time, and she picked up on that. She picked up on my dog, and she picked up on Kathy and I backing into the camper. And she said, you had a Sasquatch watching you. And I'm like, what? You're crazy. So maybe, like you talk about the mind speaking, maybe that was a form. I just wasn't really like open to it because I had that feeling, I don't know.
I think that when they do finally reach out to you and try, one of the things I would do is go walk in the woods, and I would actually talk to them, say, hey, I'm Scott Pace. I'm just here to hunt. I'm not here to hurt you or your family. So when I come into
It
your
works.
I
Yeah.
understand that you're
Yeah.
here, and that I'm not trying to hurt you. So I'm coming in, I'm hunting. I do have a rifle, I have a gun, but I'm not going to point my gun at you, even if I do see you. So let your intentions be known, let your heart be known. And
Yeah.
that opens up the doors and the avenue for you to come in and for them to show themselves to you. Because, another thing I did, this is try new things. Okay. So I had read a book by Dr. Matthew Johnson, and he talks about calling the Janu. So
Mhm.
2020, I did this 2020 hunting
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
Went back there, and I started asking him. I said, it was getting close to dark and everything. I said, well, I'm fixing to go in, so I just want to ask him something. So I said, this is what I did. I said, if y'all are real, and I said, this is real and all this, I said, are you the Janu? And if you could, please give me a sign.
Mhm.
Y'all, no second later than I said that, all these silhouettes begin to come up. When I say silhouettes, these huge faces and all kind of different faces. Now, this is a kicker. They had a mother come right around a big old pine tree, and I sent Daryl this picture. And I even took, because it's hard for some people to see things, okay? And I've learned to circle things and show people where they can see it, And so this mother had come around and actually held her baby up and showed her baby to me.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. If you come through and you tell them what your intentions are, it's kind of like this. Y'all, I'm not from Louisiana. I come up to your house and I start walking through your land. You
Yeah.
don't know who the hell I am. You don't know what my intentions are. It's the same thing with them. Treat them like a people. Don't treat them like they're apes, because they're not.
I believe that. Very true. Very true. They can
They're-
also pick up fear too.
Yeah. So let me tell you one other thing too that happened during that sighting. That when I seen the dog man and the Bigfoot together, and this is also how they can control your. I just remember this. Maybe they're telling me to tell you this. So, anyways, I remembered that when the dog man looked at me, he was trying to admit fear. So he was trying to admit a spirit of fear on me. And I remember I almost started shaking. You get really cold, you start shaking like that. And I started like I had convulsions. And I was like, what in the world is this? And all of a sudden the Bigfoot took over, and he admitted love toward me, peace, calm. Now that's strange. That's really strange, but that's what happened. And be honest with you, right after that, I heard that voice that said, leave now. So I got my composure together and I left out. They can control your emotions. So they can do that.
Wow.
Yes.
Do you at any time, like, can you feel something now? Just on the paranormal side, Chris and I know when spirits are close. We get this feeling. We know this feeling. Do you get some type of feeling when they're near to you?
Well, I get a good feeling. Now I've had bad feelings too. I've had really bad feelings before, and I'll give you an example. A church group. We all got together as a church group, and when me and Dana, my wife, went and got married and everything, we all went up to Gatlinburg and everything. And so we was up there. We decided to go up to Cades Cove. So we were going up the mountain, and there was this beautiful spring that went across. So just so happened that me and my best friend's wife wanted to get out of the truck. So we got out of the truck and we was walking over there by this creek. And my wife wasn't feeling good, and neither was my buddy. He wasn't feeling good. So they just stayed there. He was talking. So me and her went talking, and all of a sudden I began to just smell. But I got a bad feeling too at the same time. And I began to look up, and something was above me there. And at the time, I couldn't pick up on it that well. But I caught a smell, and I caught a feeling like you're talking about, an emotion. And it actually zapped me then.
Wow.
And I said, "Oh, I don't feel good all of a sudden. This is weird, you know." But there was one right above us. Now, here's the thing. When you possess a spiritual gift and you possess something like that, they pick it up and they sense it. They don't like that, and they're scared of you.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're going to do is they're going to hit you with something that is a mechanism, like a defensive mechanism, if you understand what I'm saying. So that's what they do. So if they're more scared of you than you are of them. I can promise you that. Because understand it, I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you this, because I'm a religious person, okay? I'm a believer. I'm a believer in God. God chose us, okay? So understand that if humans are God's chosen people, all right? So they're afraid of us. If we only knew how we could tap into true gifts that we have, I mean, there's unlimited things that we can do.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So
I'm sure. I'm absolutely
back
sure.
down the mountain, I got zapped and I got sick. And so that wasn't the only time I got zapped. I got zapped on my land when we first started clearing it on my actual land up in North Louisiana. And I got very, very sick. And my cousin was helping me clear the land at the time. He didn't get sick, but I did. I got very sick. And so they actually can pinpoint you. Say all four of us are walking through the woods. They can pick one of us and zap you.
Wow.
You'll get dizzy. You'll get sick. You'll throw up. Sometimes your vision gets impaired and stuff like that.
Why
Laser
would they do something like that? What makes them say, okay, what brings up a red flag? Like, it's that person I'm going to zap, not this one. What makes us different?
I think that you're overpowering to them. So
Okay.
like if y'all go do research and you're doing paranormal stuff, have you ever noticed sometimes spirits will come after you?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Why?
Yes.
Why does a paranormal spirit come after you? Because they're afraid of you. Now that's kind of weird, isn't it? Why would something on the other side be afraid of you?
Yeah.
You're living, but we have a spirit and a soul, and they don't. That's the difference.
Right.
So when it comes to Bigfoot, Dogman, and other cryptids and stuff like that, there's a whole lot of stuff out there too, And I even had a dream the other night. Remember that, Trish? I sent you that.
Yeah, you did. Mm-hmm.
That is probably, and I've had, we can kind of go into some of the stuff about UFOs and stuff like that, how I believe they're tied in. But I did ask this question. I'm going to go ahead and go there.
Mm-hmm.
I did ask this question to them. I said, how long have y'all been here? And they said, forever. And I said, how did y'all get here? And they said, well, some of us were brought here. Okay. Understand? They said some of them were brought here, and they were brought here to work.
Wow.
Said, okay. So it goes really deep after that. And I'll just put it like this. They were used as workers to do certain tasks here on Earth. Okay. And that's what they were brought here for. And so I don't want to go into a lot of detail about that, but that's just what they were brought here for. Just understand they were brought here to work, and understand they're big, and they can pick up on a lot of stuff, and they can move things, and just look at all the big things that are here that need to be moved, and they can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
True.
So they were brought here.
Okay, so now, have you had a UFO experience? I
have, even recently. And so one of the first experiences I had was we went on a church group, and we were actually and it was funny. It was a singles group. So we went with the group down to Destin. And so we were going down there, and it was funny because there's like 8 of us that hung out together, and it had like 100-something people there, but they were all doing their thing. We were just sitting on what they call a boardwalk or something right on the beach. And the sun had just set, and it was beautiful, man. It was gorgeous. And the sun went down, the stars began to come out. And all of a sudden there's this, what I call, it's just green looking. I don't know what it was kind of oval shaped, but it was like a ball at the same time, but it passed right over us. No sound at all. Went toward the Gulf of Mexico. Okay. And it's right past Destin, and where Destin and Fort Walton and all that is. It went toward the Gulf. Okay. But behind it was like these sprinkly things coming out of it. That was the first UFO I seen. And then me and my wife got married and everything, and I was at our hunting lease one night, and me and one of my little cousins was there, and he began to tell me about seeing these lights at night, these white lights that fly across. And he said sometime he'd see 3 or 4 of them, sometime he'd see more than that. And I said, really? He said, yeah, they were flying together. And so we started looking up, and I said, well, kind of show me what you're talking about. So we was looking up right there, and he showed me, and what it looks like is an LED light, y'all. If you ever look for a UFO at night and it's up in the sky, look for an LED light. There's sprinkling stars and stuff like that, but this is just going to look like an LED light. And this is crazy. We found that night, we seen one, and all of a sudden he said, look, there's one looks just like that. This thing did this, went across, and all of a sudden this thing did this, and there was nothing there, did like that. So it was like a portal opened, and this thing closed right back, and we were able to see that.
Oh, wow.
That was cool. So another time we got together with some people, and me and my wife were in a cooking ministry for a long time. So I actually went around the United States cooking and stuff like that, and doing benefits and stuff. And so we wanted to take the people that were involved with us in the cooking and all that, and we went to a little retreat center one time. And so these guys were talking to me, and this one guy was in the military, and so he began to tell me about, these UFOs and stuff. And at night they would do maneuvers and stuff in the military. So he began to tell me about how to look for them and what to look for and everything. So that was one of the ways I learned from other people, But we had Hurricane Ida here. Y'all remember that just came through?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so it was at night, and it was the next night after, and it was kind of breezy, a little muggy and stuff. But me and my wife went and sat we have a little patio on the side, everything. I do all my cooking and stuff out there. It's like an outdoor kitchen. And so we were sitting there just enjoying the breeze and stuff like that. And electricity was off. People had their generators running and everything. And all of a sudden we look up, and there's that LED light again. And I see this light is coming toward me. And I told my wife, I said, look at that. She goes, oh, yeah, it's a star. I said, nope, ain't no star. She goes, looks like a plane. I said, okay, if it's a plane, it's going to have a green light and a red light and a white light. I said, that's only a white light. It kept coming toward us. Y'all look, I started talking to it, and I said, hey, I can see you. And all of a sudden, that thing went from a round white light to a disc. And this disc was turning like this. And it had silver and blue colors in it, and kind of like a magenta color in it. It was just turning like that. And it came right toward us. And it wasn't far above us either. It come right at us, went at a 45, and took off toward Texas. Just went like toward Texas, way to the west. And those are UFOs I've seen.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah,
now,
you have quite the encounters.
So I haven't even gotten to my dreams yet to tell you about stuff like that too. And so I've actually had a few dreams, and I sent you the dream that I had the other day. You and Daryl, Chris, I seen that dream. That's the strangest dream I've had so far. I've actually dreamed where, I've been flying a UFO before, and
oh wow,
yeah. So this is stretching a bit, but I asked him. I said, talk about out of body experience and stuff like that, right? So I asked the Bigfoot at Sea Tonga, I asked him. I said, the forest people. I said, look, can I fly a spaceship? I started asking what all you can do, And I said, first thing I asked him, I said, well, can I cloak? They said yes, but it'd be hard for y'all to do that. So I said, okay. And the next thing I asked him, I said, okay. I said, can I levitate? They said, yes, you can levitate. You can do that too. They said, you just got to learn how to do it. And I said, wow, that's crazy. I said, well, let me ask you this. I started going off the deep end. I said, well, can I fly a spaceship? And they said, yes. And they never said anything else. So I just left it alone. Like, okay, where's my answer? What's going to happen? So I didn't say anything. So anyways, that night I went to sleep. That night I dreamed that they came and got me. Okay.
Wow.
When we went into a wooded area, and all of a sudden there was this, for better lack of terms, there was a matchbox that came down. It was rectangle craft, and the back of it dropped down, and we walked in. Me and a couple forest people walked in, and there were some gray-looking people and stuff in there, and they turned and looked at me like this, and then they turned back. It's like they did, okay, you're with them, okay. They just kept on doing what they were doing. I never seen any other creatures like that in there, but I didn't really see any human-type creatures in there. That's all one I seen was like grays, and I seen the forest people, okay, Bigfoot. And we walked into the craft. When I went to the driver's seat, I'm going to look at it, and I said, okay, there's a seat like there, and there's like no controls and stuff like that. I said, okay, well, how do you fly this thing? They said, sit down. So I said, okay. So I sat down. They said, put your elbows down and your hands out flat. So that's what I did. I put my elbows down and my hands out flat. They said, think it with your mind. I said, oh, okay. And all of a sudden, my hands down like that. And I said, go forward. They said, no, don't do that. I started laughing. I said, why not? They said, what if a tree or building's in front of you? I said, okay. So anyways, I put my hands down and all of a sudden it's like the craft came up and we went and flew around a little bit and we came back. And that morning I woke up and I was like, did that really happen? That's pretty cool, you know? So makes you wonder, is it just in your head or did you actually go do it, you know?
Right.
Right.
Yep. But
Yeah.
getting back to that dream that I told you and Daryl about, I sent Daryl the dream too. There was like these people and they were kind of alien looking, but they had like a cone on their head, okay, like a rooster cone, all right?
Mm-hmm.
They were coming. I was there in the area, and there was this lady, and she was all dressed in silver metallic suit. Is all I can tell you, okay? And so they were coming at her, and it was like 4 or 5 of them trying to attack her, but she was pretty quick. She was good. She was real good. And all of a sudden, she would take like this. She had this cape-like thing that she would open up. And she would come around them and she would cover it up like that where she would get them, you know, when she did that. And they had this long spear looking thing with a hammer on the end of it with a blade on it, okay? Had a hammer on the side, the blade on the end, and they had a point on the end of it. And I remember I went and grabbed one of them and I was trying to stab them. She said, no, don't do that. She goes, this is my fight. She like, just back down. I said, okay, all right. So I backed off. And that was that dream. So I thought that was pretty crazy. I was like, wow. So I'm sitting there trying to get involved in this stuff. Makes you wonder, are you really getting involved in these things? You know, are you going to another dimension and doing these things, you know?
Yeah. And maybe you are.
Y'all, some of this stuff is hard for me to comprehend, but I just keep going with it.
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, when this is happening to you and you're dreaming about this, you're seeing these things, it's hard to wrap your head around your own, your own experiences. I mean,
Exactly.
and then for you to explain it to somebody else is probably even more difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty much like my saying I say all the time. After I seen Bigfoot the first time, or what I call the forest people, if someone called me from New York City and said there was a T-Rex walking down the road, I would probably say, well, what street is it on? And because I pretty much believe it. So
Right. Totally get that. Scott, are you up for some questions?
Oh, certainly. I was going to tell you about one other experience that I had. Okay. And
absolutely.
Okay. So anyways, my wife had a surgery last year and it was last December and actually didn't go very well. So it was a year ago. And she had a joint surgery because her hip was actually flexing. So what they do is they come into your hip and they put 3 pins in. Okay. But actually when they put the 3 pins in, they were kind of like this, but the top pin actually was too long and it actually hit the SI nerve. And so, yeah, it was horrible, y'all. It was really, really bad.
Oh, wow.
It was supposed to be an in and out surgery. And so, we went back and then he gave her room that night. And the doctor came and talked to us, showed us x-rays and everything. He said, look, we got a problem here and everything. We know that she don't have any comfort or anything. And it was bad. It was really bad. And I've never seen her in that much pain before. So I said, well, what can we do? And he said, well, we can leave it in there. I said, no, that's not an option. He said, we can take it out, put another one. I said, nope, that's not an option. He said, can you take it out and leave it? I said, yes. So we went the next day, pulled the pin out, left it out, and we came home. All right. So this is where it gets interesting. I stayed with her a couple of days, and then like the third day, I went ahead and went back to work, my evening shift that I work and everything. And she texted me, and she said, I took some medicine and I lay down and went to sleep and everything for the pain and everything, but I woke up. And we have track lighting in our kitchen and it points in different directions and stuff to put, more light and stuff in there. And she said, 3 of the lights are pointing toward me. I said, do what? She said, yeah, 3 of the lights are pointing toward me. And she goes, guess what else? I said, what? She said, there's 3 orbs in here. I said, you got to be. She goes, yeah, there's 3 blue orbs. I said, well, take a picture and send it to me. I'm excited. I said, take a picture and send it to me. She took the picture. She sent it to me. Now, my ceilings are 10 foot off the ground. Okay. I'm short. I'm 5'6". Okay. And my wife is like 5'6" or 5'7". All right. She's short too. So neither one of us could get up there and do it. And I can tell you this, I didn't do all that before I went to work. Okay. But they took them 3 lights and turned them toward her. So when I got home, I began to mind speak to them. I said, look, I said, why did y'all do that? They said this. They said to keep evil spirits away.
They said what? You kind of cut out on that. What did they say?
Wow, that's crazy. It said to keep evil spirits away.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah. So it goes to show you while you're down, you got things coming against you. You know, that all's true. There's something true to that. You know, as kids, you know, sometimes, you know, kids wants a little light on at night or something like that. You know, mommy, I'm scared. Yeah, there's some truth to that.
Yeah,
You know,
very much so.
the blue orbs are actually like a healing orb or a comfort orb, you know.
Wow.
yeah. You know, I don't know about anybody else, but every time he gets into saying something really super important, it just cuts out.
Yeah.
It just, and I'm like, wait. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
I can tell you some more stuff, but let's take some questions. You know, I'd love to take some
Okay.
questions.
Yes.
Okay. I'll just start putting them up here. I've kind of throughout the whole show, I've been starring them. So you may have to go back a little bit. This one you answered already. Here, let's try this one. Amelia says, I was wondering if the lack of some people's ability actually causes the anger or wrath of these creatures. I would imagine there is not a confirmation that their message was received. What do you think about that?
It's kind of like going back to what I said before as, okay, if you go researching or something, for example, if you go researching an area, you've never been there before, but you get a feeling and stuff there and you don't know how to communicate with people. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like going on a date first time, you know, it's kind of awkward, you know, and you have to understand that you're dealing with something that we don't normally deal with. Could those things be protective? Maybe there's a mother there with some young, you know,
Sure.
that could be there. That would cause a reaction. It could be some young adolescents there or put there as guards. You got dog men in there, dog men or guards. Okay. So there's another thing right there too. Okay. You walk into an area, you're not supposed to be there, especially if you get to where they're actually sleeping at, or there's some kind of, that's a word I'm trying to use. Okay. If there's something that's personal to them. Okay. So say you're in a shaman area or something like that, right? If you get into that area, you're supposed to be there, they're going to do what they can to get you out. Now, if they try to communicate with you or something, a lot of times they're either going to zap you or send somebody after you to get you out of that area. Now, if they're coming after you, you're too close to something, right? Otherwise,
Gotcha.
you might get a whoop or a knock or something like that, you know. And I've heard all that in the woods. Even this past hunting season, I heard a knock in the woods, just like that, one single knock.
Wow.
A locator,
Wow.
you know. It's like they're here, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, next question. Hilton Whittlewood asked, how do they feel about you talking about all of this?
Well, they haven't stopped me yet. Some things, if they get kind of, you know, antsy about things, you know, they'll mess with your communication and stuff like that. But some things they want you to know. Some things they don't want you to know. You know, sometimes I believe that they think that you need to pick it up yourself. You need to learn yourself. You know, I'm one of those type of people. I'll go out and help you learn and get you where I'm at. You know, but not everybody's on the same acceptance. Let me just say this word: acceptance level. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I may believe it, but I don't accept it, right? You know, it's like a different form of religion and stuff like that. You know, you got your basic religions that are Baptist and Catholic like that. You go to a Pentecostal church and you see people, they lay hands on them, they fall out, you know, under the Spirit. You accept that. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I relate to religion because this is how deep it is for me, is going deeper in religion as it is for this stuff that's happening to me, because that's the only way I can compare it to, you know?
Yeah. Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, I think for them it's we want you to learn, but you need to learn your way. Like each one of us, all four of us here are different. Daryl may learn something different than what I learned, you know. We share experiences all the time. And y'all ladies may have something different between the two of y'all, you know?
Right.
Yes.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, next question. Tex asked, have you ever asked about taking their picture?
Good question.
Oh yeah. So yes, I have, and I think that's a thing where they get to know you. They know you don't have no bad intentions or anything like that, and they can read your heart. I've had them tell me to take pictures before.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's some people, and I've got pictures. I've got pictures
He's
to
got
show all
he's
y'all. You know what I mean?
God has a lot of pictures. He has a lot of pictures.
Wow. Awesome.
And don't let me tell you this, okay? Recently I went to Barry Webster's place last October, okay? And we went up to Res squatching and went did some overnight stuff with Webster and Derek and all that. And when I got a picture of that, y'all get this. I had a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch or Situnga come right next to the vehicle we were in, reached his arm in and tried to grab my cell phone. Now that's how close I've been to him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's right. I mean, it's taller than a truck. Okay, this thing is way taller than a truck. Bends down like this. And look. You see how my face is like this? That's the picture. It's reaching in and grab my cell phone. And I told it no. I said, don't grab my cell phone. And it just looked at me like I was cuckoo, like I was crazy. I'm like, that's mine, you know. So they're interested in the things that you have. Don't think they know everything about stuff because some of them don't.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's interesting.
Yeah, I was actually invited to go with Scott. I appreciate him inviting me on that, but I ended up going to a scare fest up in Kentucky that weekend.
Next question.
We could talk about that. Yeah, go ahead.
Hilton Whittlewood, he asked, I wonder if that works for Australian Yowie as well.
I'm not sure. I don't know. You know, I've got some friends that are actually in Australia. I've got a couple of them that's over there, and I talk to them on a regular basis. But they have their own encounters and their own experiences themselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm just trying to get through these questions here real quick. And I know you kind of touched on this when you did Hunters of the Paranormal asked, does Scott think that Dogman and Bigfoot work together? And I know you kind of talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Now, do I think all of them do that? No. I think some of them don't get along. It's like some people don't get along with dogs, you know? So
Sure.
I think that, yeah, they do work together 100%. Now, is it bad or good? I know they run together because I've got pictures and I've got experiences with that, you know, but I know they do separate, you know, and go their own way sometimes, but sometimes I believe they do come together.
Okay. And Hilton has another good question. He said, Scott, what's the thing they've told you that is the hardest for you to wrap your head around?
Ooh, Lord. I can answer that one. The recent thing that happened was when I went to Barry Webster's place in Macy, Nebraska. He told me a story, and the story is that his nephew was running from the police. He had got stuff like that, so his nephew was running away, and he fell and he just collapsed because he ran so hard he just couldn't breathe no more, and he just basically passed out. And he was basically woken up by something coming out of the ground.
Wow.
So also this Situnga comes literally out of the ground, walks over to him, looks at him and goes like this and walks off.
Yeah.
That one right there is hard for me to comprehend and to accept. Okay. But
Gotcha.
Here's the but part. Here's the but part. Y'all ready? Here's the part that really gets you. I recently watched a video, and I can't remember this guy's site, but he's on like TikTok and stuff like that, and even on YouTube, but it's something whatever. God 333 or something like that. But he has a video of an army tank. On the side of this army tank, and it's a green like video that's like night vision, okay? And all of a sudden you see this big, tall, black creature that's next to it, which I think is a desert person, forest person, whatever. But all of a sudden he's sitting there looking at the tank, and all of a sudden the sand starts blowing up and it goes into the ground. Now, the last 5 minutes I was on the reservation, they mind spoke to me and told me to stop and take this picture. Now, I kept asking about all these holes in the ground all around this campground we were at. And I said, why don't y'all go get a disc or something, you know, and plow this up and level it all out? And they never would say anything. They never would reply to me. And I thought that was kind of strange. All of a sudden, they tell me, so the Situnga tells me in my head, the mind spoke to me and said, take a picture. So I took a picture. Just left it alone. So I'll get on the airplane. I'm flying back to New Orleans, from up there in Omaha and everything. And so I finally get back to New Orleans and everything. And I started looking through these pictures. And while I was there in the airport with the pictures, a mind spoke to me and said, look at the picture. I see this big hole in the ground, hole, what I call a pothole. And all of a sudden there's a footprint next to it. I'm like, wow. And they said, yes, they can come out of the ground, go into the ground, and they actually had a footprint next to it. Now that one is hard for me to wrap my mind around.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever, I heard another story like this, and this guy told me this last year. And this guy's actually from Mississippi, and he has some land there in Mississippi. And he said, when he was a young boy, he said that his grandpa told him to go hunt in his hollow or a bottom down there, and had a bunch of, he was squirrel hunting. He said, go down in the hollow and go hunt down there. There's a bunch of oak trees. And he said, just go find you an oak tree, or right before daylight. And he said, it's it. And he said, at daylight, you're going to hear some rumble and stuff like that. But he said, after that, it's going to be quiet, and all of a sudden the squirrels will come out. So sure enough, he went down, he heard that noise and everything. And all of a sudden, daylight, sun's coming up over this hill where he'd walk down, and he looks up the hill, and guess what? There's a stump there. And he said he looked at that stump and started looking at it, all of a sudden the stump did like this, rose up. And he said when he did, he started shooting it. So then he started chasing it. Well, come to find out, it was a young Bigfoot. And all of a sudden he goes over there, and it's like he wasn't nowhere, but he hears moaning and groaning coming out of this armadillo hole. So all of a sudden he goes in there, he's going to put his gun down, shoot the armadillo hole, and a voice to him said, don't do that.
Wow.
Huh.
Interesting. That's crazy. Wow.
Yes.
Hundreds
Here's the
of
thing to me is, why do everybody wants to put these things in a box. You can't put them in a box. Every day I'm getting new stories from people. I hear different stories and from everybody, but they're all coming together with the stuff that, their abilities are just way beyond we can comprehend.
Sure.
People probably think I'm crazy right now because they say I got two of them. But, I've seen them in my house. And Daryl, before we went to break, Daryl, let me tell y'all this story. I wasn't going to say anything about it, but it's funny. So, last year I had one of them, I went to sleep and I was tired and everything and just sleep. And all of a sudden I had one push me on my shoulder and wake me up in the middle of the night. Well, last week, one of them pushed me on my rear end and woke me up. I'm like, oh my God. I said, y'all getting personal now. Y'all got to stop that. It pushed me and woke me up out of a dead sleep.
Wow. Wow.
Which I thought was nuts,
Yeah, I don't think I'd want them in my house.
This is the way I see them in my house. I see little.
Yeah, every time he talks about it.
I see little
every
streaks going
time
across where they are. Yep.
Scott, I don't think they want you talking about them right now.
Yeah, they don't want you talking about
Hello?
this, I guess.
Are you there?
No. Can you hear that kind of like scratching that's going on?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is
hear
going on with that?
Right?
I think they're
That is
scratching
very
on the
strange.
microphone.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Like, no,
Yeah.
we're not talking about this. And they're just trying to, distract or detour or
Sure.
that's weird. That's weird. That's
Yeah.
a lot of woo.
I don't know if we're going to get him back or not. He's kind of blacked out right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're we've already gone an hour and 38 minutes now. So, I mean, we're at the end of it. I mean, he lasted this long. That's something.
Right. Right. Can't believe we held on to him that long.
I know.
He was working on his truck a couple of weeks ago. I wish he could tell you about that. And he kept looking for the parts, and they were stealing his parts while he was working on it. So,
Wow. Wow.
that was a pretty good story that he told me. But
Yeah.
are you there, Scott? I think we've lost him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too. That's okay. I mean, like I said, I am happy we had him that long.
Yeah. We'll have to have him back on too,
Yeah.
and talk more about this because I know he has a lot of stories.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I don't think we could hear them all in just our segment.
No.
I just don't think so. We'll have to
Right.
have them on again so we can hear some more.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah,
Because I don't
he's,
even think we got to all the questions or anything.
No. It's crazy. Just want to let everybody know, like I said, I don't have my laptop, so I can't tell you like who's coming up next week or anything, because honestly, my mind is not functioning. But I will tell you this, in the next coming month or two, we have some really cool guests also coming on. And I'm just going to name a few. We have Steve Stockton coming on to talk about the phase. We have, come on, Brandy, help me out. We have Rob
Well, you know who
Demarais.
we have next week on the 3rd? Arnie
Well,
Atwell.
we
Arnie
actually-
Atwell.
We actually have Rob Demarais from Ghost Hunters. He's going to come on the show. I can't give you the date because I don't remember. Shane Michael Crisp, I know, is one. We have Tom Cardos, and Tex is going to co-host with us. We have Sarah Lamos. She's a personal friend of mine, known the lady for 10 years. She helped me out with like You Wouldn't Believe. And so she's going to come on. She's going to talk about, we'll talk about, abilities and that kind of thing, but we'll also talk about her shows that she's been doing. We have Ron Moorhead scheduled. So there's all kinds of good shows coming up, and I apologize. I don't mean to leave anybody out, but my brain is fried.
well,
So
that's super good.
It's Friday. It's been a long week.
Those
Yeah.
are some great shows. Thank y'all for having me back co-hosting again. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Enjoyed
you're
it.
Thanks,
welcome.
Daryl. We
Anytime,
appreciate
Daryl.
it. We
You're
appreciate it.
Time.
Y'all like my family anyway, so I'm right at home.
Right. I know, right? Yep, you're our big brother.
There we
That's
go.
right. But everybody, make sure you join us next week. We'll be here Thursday at 8 p.m. and Friday at 8 p.m. all over again.
I know.
And,
I think next week we have Artie Hoffman, don't we?
Artie Hoffman, that was his name. Artie
Okay, so
Hoffman.
Artie Hoffman is coming on to do live readings. He actually, he's a comedian and he does readings, live gallery readings. He's in Vegas, and it was some of you may or may not know, but we have what do you call it? What's that guy that gets us shows? That gave us
A booking agent.
the TV show.
The booking agent.
Yeah, the booking agent guy. Anyway, he got him booked for us, and so we're gonna try it out. And I've heard really good things about Artie Hoffman. So tune back in here, and I believe it is for next Friday. He'll be doing live readings, and then they say that he throws some comedy in with it. So it should be kind of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be a hoot for sure.
Yeah, and then we also have like I said, I don't know dates. We have a women's roundtable with Jessica Jones is going to come on, and Letitia Nunnally is going to come on, and so we're just going to talk weird cryptid stuff, and
Well,
and
paranormal.
too. Yeah, and those too.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and I want to let everybody know too. Keep Erin in your prayers too. She's got a lot going on, and it's just she's hasn't been on as a lot of you know, but she's got a lot of stuff going on, and she's not well, physically. She's sick tonight, and so. But I wanted to let everybody know that on the nights that Erin can't be in on some of those nights, I have invited Brandy and I invited Letitia Nunnally to help us co-host, and she has agreed to it. So anyway, I just wanted to let you all know that. And like I said, keep Erin in your prayers. And
we're just signing off, Scott.
This is crazy. I'm sorry. I didn't mean
That's okay. Just hang on, because we were just talking about we need to have you on again. So just hang on when we get off here.
Okay.
Yes, for sure. So anyway, we appreciate each and every one of you. Daryl and Scott, don't hang up. And we will see you guys all next Thursday. We appreciate
Good night, everyone.
Good
But
night.
don't forget, catch Texas Front Porch on Monday at 6:30 p.m. That is Central Time. Catch me in Tex. And on Thursday at noon, Beyond BMR, that's brunch with BMR. Chris is on there. So you can catch us all week long.
Yep. Good night, everybody.
Good night.